The astrology of April 2025 is going to be one for the books, my friends. We are continuing powerful astrology coming from March, where we have been jam-packed with a Venus retrograde, a Mercury retrograde, 2 eclipses, and of course, Neptune entering Aries right after that last solar eclipse in Aries. I mean, we could not get any more symbolic. We could not have a more powerful birthing send-off with that last solar eclipse in Aries, where literally Neptune entered Aries the very next morning. Now, when it comes to April, we're very much dealing with the first energetic feelings of what Neptune in the Aries part of your life can mean. Now, I firmly believe the outer planets take many, many months and years, honestly, for them to really show us what it's actually going to be doing in our life. But honestly, if you have any hardcore placements in Aries in the first couple of degrees, like for example, I have my North Node there at 3 degrees, then we can probably feel what this can be doing for us already, honestly. And I also think that these eclipses in Aries over the last 2 years have very much been laying down some groundwork. And I think that these retrogrades that we've been experiencing with Mercury and Venus, I think these also have been showing us maybe some things we need to kind of reconcile with or come to terms with or very much meditate upon. I'm sure you've been doing enough meditating and experiencing within the retrograde Venus and Mercury. But if we really think about all of the activity that's been going on in the early degrees of Aries, and then you reflect on the Aries part of your life and just like look at your life, look, what has Aries been for you? And we can really kind of like maybe get a picture of like, all right, well, what's it going to be like when this powerful, spiritual, creative, inspirational planet that, yes, can cause delusion and confusion, but what do I think this can possibly bring for me? Is this going to liberate me in any way? Because I think Neptune in Aries can be very liberating, very freeing from the very illusory, mystical realms of Pisces, which Neptune in Pisces, depending on where Pisces is in your birth chart, very much could have brought you a bunch of confusion and delusion, but also maybe a bunch of enlightenment and a bunch of mystical truths and dreaming visions that now you're finally going to possibly have the opportunity to birth into this physical world in a very real way. And with Saturn coming into Aries in just a few months from now, Saturn is going to want to make things real. So that's why I keep talking about like, hey guys, we're going to talk more about Neptune, honestly, in the beginning phases of what this transit actually can mean when Saturn gets there May 25th. And of course, throughout the summer, when we actually see what Neptune and Saturn look like, because that's really what all astrologers have their eyes on. What is Neptune going to be? Well, how is it going to behave? How is it going to manifest in your life when Saturn is there? Okay, because over the next couple of years, Saturn will be very greatly influencing Aries, as we all know. And the first year is going to be one of the big ones. So 2025 into 2026, as we approach early 2027, that is very much when Saturn is going to be revealing to us what this authoritative, structured energy of very powerful grounding will do to this massive planet of ethereal expansion, belief, and vision. So in today's video, I don't want to just harper on and go crazy on Neptune and Aries because there's obviously a lot more we need to talk about. All the personal planets are going direct. Mercury's going direct. We have Venus going direct. We have Mars at 25 degrees. As soon as the month starts, that's going to be trining, Mercury, as it goes direct, right? And then of course Saturn and the North Node. So as the deeper Mars gets into Cancer, the more powerful the trines are going to be to those late degrees of Pisces. So we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for Mars to very much turn on the flame, literally. And because Mars rules Aries, there's going to be a lot of, again, heightened, explosive emphasis on action, movement, conflict, war, more tensions within politics, of course, like that's no fucking surprise. But, Mars is going to be continuing to turn up the flame. And then as we get to April 18th, so right a little bit after the midpoint of April, Mars will have its third opposition to Pluto. The last two oppositions to Pluto were, of course, there was one in the fall. There was another big one right as the winter was beginning. And then there's going to be one now. And these Mars oppositions to Pluto are very powerful. Mars opposite Pluto to me is nothing but power and intensity. And the real question is, are we going to harness the power like the Magician card in the tarot? Or are we going to allow someone else like the Hierophant to impose the power upon us? Or whatever that looks like in your life, you know? But again, it's like, think about the Hierophant and the Magician. The Magician can harness its power, manifest at will. And we can use the power and intensity of Mars and Pluto in those parts of your lives. Or we can give our power away in some way, shape, or form. But again, how this plays out on the world stage or in your own life, of course, is very unique. But as you know, guys, let me just say that my monthlies, of course, are just very broad stroke. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details. I'm not going to discuss each one of these things like I am going to do most likely throughout the course of the month, because we also have two massive lunar cycles. We have a full moon in Libra, the same day that Venus goes direct, and then we're going to have a new moon in Taurus, okay, at the end of the month. And we're going to, of course, talk about the Decans that these lunar transits fall in, because as many of you know, I work with the Decans in astrology, and I also work with the tarot symbolism associated with those Decans. So we're going to go over what all of that stuff means. And for any of you people out there, my good friends, new people to the channel, the Decans are subdivisions of the zodiac. Each zodiac sign has 3 subdivisions. Each one of those has a ruling planet. Those are called Decans, and those Decans have tarot symbolism attached to them. Okay, so there's 2 major arcana cards that are attached to each Decan, and then there's a minor arcana card attached to each Decan. And I love looking at significant transits and very much dialing in on the specifics and the nuance of what this particular lunar transit, for example, in this case for this video, will potentially, bring to the world or bring to our lives. And when it comes to the world events and stuff like that, I really have been noticing, as I do more and more Decan work, that these tarot card associations very much link up to a lot of shit going on in the world. But I'm sure if you were to hyperanalyze the parts of your life where these lunar transits are falling in, Libra and Taurus, this time around, every time we have these transits, it's like the same time every year. We have a Libra full moon and we have a Taurus new moon. So, but the Decans change every year. Where these transits fall change every year. So that's why it's important for people who are Decan observers to very much zone in on where, for example, a full moon or a new moon are falling. Okay, so we can kind of go, okay, well, what are the tarot cards this year? What is the ruling planet of this Decan this year? What is the flavor going to be? So that's why I love working with the Decans, and I know you guys love too. So that being said, my friends, before I continue on, I would just like to say that if you are new to the channel, I would love if you could consider subscribing, liking the video, hitting the notification bell. That would really mean a lot to me. We've been seeing such beautiful community growth here on the channel. I couldn't be more happy at the expansion of where this channel has been growing over the last few months. I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. And for anyone who is new out there, my name is Joe Theodore. I'm a consulting astrologer and teacher of astrology and various other esoteric things. And guys, we like to get cozy here. We like to muse on astrology. And and if there's anything else you'd like to learn about me, or if you'd like to book a 90-minute Zoom reading, please feel free to look down in the description box below and just go right to my website. You can learn anything else about me. You can book a reading. And of course, like all other creators at the moment, I have a Patreon account if you would like to support there. I'm going to be lowering my prices drastically over there to $3 a month. And I'm going to be probably offering a pretty big surprise soon on what I'm going to be offering for everybody there, starting at $3 a month. So that's going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. But Yeah, guys, and then I have some other exciting things coming in the near future. I have a course up my sleeve, so I'm not sure if any of you guys are interested in learning about astrology and maybe even tarot or even the Decans. So I have a lot going on as far as learning is concerned. So please let me know in the comments if you are interested in learning from me, and would you be interested in taking any workshops or courses with me online. So yeah, just let me know if any of that seems appealing to you. All right, my friends, well, let's break down some dates. Okay, April 7th, Mercury goes direct in Pisces, and this is when Mars at 25 degrees Cancer trines Venus retrograde, Saturn, Mercury, and the North Node. Then on April 12th, we have a full moon in Libra at 23 degrees. Venus goes direct at 24 degrees on the same day. The sun will also be conjoined with Chiron in Aries at 23 degrees. So this full moon will very much also offer some release from the Chiron wound that has been affecting all of our Aries parts of our lives, which is a whole conversation in itself. And I honestly have not talked a lot about Chiron here on the channel, but I did a little bit in one of my recent videos. But yeah, guys, this full moon is going to be falling in the third decan of Libra, which is ruled by Jupiter. This decan is ruled by the Wheel of Fortune, Major Arcana card, the Justice card, and the Four of Swords. Now, we're going to get into the full moon in a little bit, but again, like I said in the beginning of this video, we're not going to be diving super deep into what these transits and these cycles mean, but I want to just give you a tease of what this is all about. You know, this is what the monthlies here are all about for me. Then, on April 16th, Mercury enters Aries, conjoins Neptune at 0 degrees, and then Mars will find itself at the anaretic degree of Cancer at 29 degrees. Now, what's crazy about the beginning ingresses of Mercury and Venus into Aries again is that during the retrograde cycles, right, from Aries into Pisces, both Venus and Mercury connected with Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces before Neptune entered Aries for the first time. Now, as these planets are moving direct again, as we get to the middle of April, as we get towards the end of April, when Venus enters Aries again, we are now going to have Venus and Mercury conjoin Neptune while direct. So it's going to be meeting Neptune again in a conjunction at 0 degrees while going direct, but coming back into the realm of Aries. Okay, so this is a really powerful month because it almost seems like, you know, Venus has been in review, Mercury has been in review all of March into early parts of April. But now as we conclude April, we're having kind of the direct motion now. So it's weird, as we're like kind of going over the same stuff that we were dealing with while in retrograde motion, but now we're starting to figure it all out. We're starting to see things clearly. Things are getting sober. We're like sobering up to the reality of the review process of what Venus and Mercury were all about. And we're going to be getting hit again with the Neptunian and whatever that visionary expansion might bring to you, that spiritual liberating energy might bring to you regarding what the Mercury retrograde story was for you and regarding what the Venus retrograde story was for you. Okay, so that's going to be big as we start to come back into Aries with Mercury and Venus. And on April 16th is the first planetary, the first retrograde planet we've been dealing with to get back to 0 degrees Aries, and that is Mercury, while it's still in its integration phase, of course. Now, on April 18th, this is also a massive day, because this is when Mars enters Leo at 0 degrees, and this is when we have our profected opposition, or not our profected, but it begins a massive profected opposition to Pluto. Pluto will be at 3 degrees Aquarius at this point. So literally from April 18th all the way until Mars gets to 3 degrees Leo, this is going to be a massive buildup of energy. Intensity builds is what I have in my notes. So again, on the world stage, we're going to see a lot of things amp up. There's going to be a lot of things possibly going on within the political sphere, of course, that gets very much amped up. There's going to be a lot of climaxes we might start to see where the state of America kind of really is in between this left versus right war that we constantly are finding ourselves in. This threat and rise of a new type of political dimension that America has not seen before. And of course, how the world has been interacting with America in a very powerful way. The responses to a new administration. This is all going to be a part of this climactic moment between Mars and Pluto going opposite each other. So this is really powerful stuff, guys. And Pluto will be sextiling essentially a freshly ingressed Neptune in Aries. So, that's what's also big about the Pluto and Uranus ingresses into their new signs, is that they're both going to be sextiling Aries as these years unfold together. So, there's going to be there's a lot of fire in the air. There's a lot of fire in the air, guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if we also start seeing escalations of war, or the threats of war, or the fear-mongering of war. We have a political party in America that was all about creating peace in the world, and like all political parties in America, we all know they're all warmongers, and this is why I think there is going to be a massive awakening over time with the collective rise of people, because most people do want peace. And most people don't want authoritative type of figures, no matter where they are in the world, imposing war on others that don't deserve it, or people still being war hawks. We have to, get real with ourselves that American politics has always been about warmongering, and there's a big business attached to that. And don't let any, political party that might currently be in power convince you otherwise. Okay. No one really wants peace in the world, and that's the truth. People just want to make a lot of money. And that's also going to be a massive part of the new moon in Taurus story, because when we talk about the Decan work, which I'm going to get much deeper in at a later date, we're talking about the Five of Pentacles being associated with this Decan. This is the first Decan of Taurus, ruled by Mercury. This is a magician card energy, a major arcana energy for this new moon. This is a Hierophant energy of this new moon, and this is a Five of Pentacles energy for this new moon. So whenever we're dealing with pentacles, we're dealing with material things. The Five of Pentacles is about scarcity. It is about loss in a way too. This can be about, we're dealing with, let me just get some of my notes out: hardship, loss, isolation, feeling abandoned. This could be about unemployment. This could be about taking away, feeling stripped away of things. And a lot of astrologers have been predicting further financial crisis, further financial scarcity in many ways for people. Okay, so this is why a lot of these things that are going to be going on in the world in the next couple of months are going to wake a lot of people up, guys. Okay, and only the people that are severely blind are going to keep their eyes closed to the reality of how hurt people actually are going to be getting hit in their wallets, for example, and how people who are really in charge all over the world, by the way, I'm not just talking about America, this is money, power grabs, okay, oligarchy shit. Okay, and again, I'm not just focusing on American stuff here, guys. I mean, when we look around the world at some very, very powerful leadership, this is all about money. Okay, most things are about money. Most things are about profit and territory, of course, too. So, I'm not going to get into politics because I know that triggers a lot of people here, but a lot of you know I don't care when I decide to get a little nitty gritty on politics. But guys, when we delineate some of this stuff in the near future on the channel, I'm not going to be able to help myself probably, okay? We're going to talk about stuff that's going on in the world. We have to. And for the record, I'm not someone who's left or right. I'm an independent. I've always been an independent. I've seen through the BS of politics my whole life, but I'm just most definitely not someone who is in favor of any sort of authority that wants to very much have consolidated power. And as we look at any sort of historical fact, we look to see when countries want to isolate themselves from the world, we are talking about consolidating power. We are talking about putting control and power over its people, even when we are promoting like nationalism, for example. And anytime someone says populist nationalism, which is something that one particular political party loves to say, that always leads to authoritarianism. Duh. And, because who's in fucking control of it all? So this is going to be a part of the Saturn story when it gets into Aries, of course. Okay. The authority of what Neptune is all about, the visionary, the belief systems of ideology, potentially. People are going to be fighting for what they believe in around the world, and of course within American politics. But again, this new moon is going to be really important to me to talk about at a future date because this new moon in Taurus is very much associated with money. Okay, this is a Venus-ruled sign. All things considered, the luminaries this month are very, very beautiful. We have Libra and Taurus ruled by Venus. But again, this is why we have to get specific on the Decans, guys, because this can very much show us like, okay, well, there's a lot of other people who have bad intentions in the world that also have Venusian qualities to them. And in our own life, we're going to have to very much examine some things going on in our own life that can be attached to some of this symbolism as well. So that new moon at the end of the month, which is happening on April 27th, this is falling in the again, the first decan of Taurus with ruled by Mercury. So again, a lot dealing with communication here. Mercury, the magician, the Hierophant card is also associated with this. So if you really think about that, the magician is all about, let's manifest at will. The Hierophant is all about, no, I want to tell everyone what to do. Okay, like I'm the one in charge here. And we have the Five of Pentacles, which is kind of this battle between like, do I have the belief to manifest? Do I have what it takes to manifest and create on my own will? Or do I need to still follow a blueprint or someone else in order to gain what I desire? So when we meditate into the new moon at the end of the month, this is very much going to be a lunar transit where we have to believe in ourselves more than ever, but on a personal level. And then on the world stage, guys, I'll get more into that at a later date because this definitely will have something to do with scarcity. That just definitely will have something to do with further financial wealth and collapse, or potentially stripping away, or more people getting angry over job loss and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, there's just a lot going on there. But, just to come back to a couple of things here, as I was saying before, when we're dealing with Mercury and Venus going direct, these are going to be big moments because we're going to finally wake up from the hazy, drunken stupor that we've been in with these retrogrades. And hopefully we've been reviewing and figuring things out to the best of our ability. And hopefully things become more clearer on the world stage, of course, because this is when I think things just become clearer. And that's kind of what I've been saying. As soon as Mercury and Venus go direct, we're going to be much clearer because Neptune won't be in Pisces anymore. So we're going to start to kind of get clearer, much clearer on the Pisces part of our life. And then when it meets Neptune in Aries again, and when we get back into Aries, we're going to be very much ready then to start turning on the flame, taking that action in our life, starting to put into action the plans and visions that maybe we have been trying our best to structure and just envision for ourselves in Aries. Because again, I think a big part of Neptune in Aries is going to be like, okay, well, what's going on in Aries for you? What is that theme of life for you? Neptune is wanting you to dream there, dream bigger, potentially there, have the faith to take action in whatever stories have been playing out in Aries for you. And this last solar eclipse we had at the end of April, I really feel was a powerful birthing moment of awakening of potentially some of this stuff that we've been dealing with, because these retrograde cycles were right in the mix of this Aries solar eclipse, this final Aries solar eclipse that happened at 9 degrees. So we've all been having, excuse me, a lot of transformation, a lot of awakening potentially involving what these retrogrades have been all about for us. So that's why I keep saying the word sober. I think a lot of us are starting to get sober, I think a lot of us are starting to wake up to the things that we need to figure out, in the Pisces part of your life and the Aries part of your life. Okay. I've been a broken record for a long time because these This part of our birth chart, the Pisces and Aries part of our birth chart, have been very much in review and in contemplation and transformation in some of the biggest ways that the rest of the zodiac can't compare to right now. Especially that we've been having eclipses in Pisces. We've had our first major eclipse in Pisces, not too far ago. And yeah, and again, the last solar eclipse in Aries, I mean, come on, we cannot get any more, like, the spotlight is on the Aries parts of our lives. It's on the Aries part of the world, which is all about action, conflict, fighting, freedom, independence, belief in taking our actions further. Okay, making plans for the world, right? If you're a world leader, making plans for things that we want to start doing in our life, things we know we need to get a little bit more aggressive and assertive in, right? This is what this stuff's all about. And so yeah, guys, when Mercury and Venus enter Aries this month, this is like powerful triggering energy. That is why I keep saying to all of my clients, like I've had clients for the last 2 months go like, yeah, it just feels like everything's been so stagnant in my life. It feels like I feel like nothing's ever going to change. I'm like, yo, this is because retrograde, it's been a retrograde mania freaking winter. And it just was one after the other. We're still in a Mars integration phase, guys. So the true post-shadow of Mars is not over. And Mars trining these late degrees of Pisces is going to be adding to the flame, to the aggressiveness of this month, to the integration of Mercury and Venus retrograde cycle, to the closer it gets to Pluto, right? When it enters back into Leo. This is like Mars is going to show its ugly face again in the greatest of ways for us. And I hate to say the word ugly, but just in this potent, I'm just getting a vision of a boiling pot of water, and the water is just blowing over the sides and the lid is about to pop off. And this is much needed energy for a lot of us who have been in these very deep reviews and these deep contemplative, holding patterns of what the hell is going on in my life? Where am I supposed to go next? When is life actually going to change? This is the time it's starting to change. Once mid to late April comes, this is when it all starts shifting and moving fast. We need Mercury and Venus to be moving direct again, which is what all of April's really about. They need to travel back over those retrograde degrees. They need to start fixing the problems or start taking action on the retrograde issues. And then once they both get back into Aries and they meet Neptune once again, we are talking about a massive expansion of consciousness, and God knows what it's really going to do for you in your life. But Neptune needs us to have faith in our visions, needs us to have faith in things in that part of our life so we can truly become manifestors in this world and in that part of your life, guys. This is the time to manifest. Aries energy is all about, let's do this, let's go. Okay? And just to close off, because I know I've been bouncing around a lot, guys, but the full moon in Libra, okay? Happening April 12th, 23 degrees. That's the day Venus goes direct. Okay, so a big day. Venus goes direct. The same day we have a full moon in Libra ruled by Venus. Okay, and honestly, guys, and we're also having the sun conjoin Chiron. So there's going to be a release of something in the healing realm of the Aryan part of your life. So whatever the Aries Chiron story has been for you, and it's all very unique to all of us. I'm not going to get into it, but Chiron is a sacred wound. Okay, whenever it transits in a particular part of the sky, in our birth chart, we are forced to deal with something for a number of years, and that part of our life that very much can cause suffering, insecurity, and we very much have to come to terms and make peace with whatever the Chiron wound is. And in readings, I dive deeper into this with clients. So just so you know, if you're ever interested in booking a reading with me, we can talk more about Chiron and your specific Chiron transit and your Chiron in your birth chart. Okay. But, this full moon in Libra, after all the retrograde activity, after the entire winter we've had, this is falling in the third decan of Libra, ruled by Jupiter, which is ruled by the Wheel of Fortune card. The Wheel of Fortune card is all about fate unfolding, things we can't avoid in life. So this is going to be a full moon that is very much in our face. It is going to be all driven by fate. And this is a different kind of fate compared to the way astrologers always talk about fate and destiny, of course, but this is a different kind of fate. This is like a full moon that's going to force us into a particular dimension of energy. And, you know, we also have the Justice card. So again, this emphasis on balance, okay, is very much part of the Libra story. So this full moon is going to reveal something to us that very much needs us and is going to force us to meditate on balance, okay? And going to meditate on, you know, this meditating between two worlds, okay? That's kind of how I have it written in my notes, okay? Because if you know the Four of Swords energy, which is what this card is ruled by, this Decan is also ruled by the Four of Swords. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not. I hope I did at the beginning of this video, but this Decan is ruled by the Four of Swords in the Minor Arcana. And if you know the Four of Swords imagery, it is a knight laying down and he is resting. Okay, so there's a lot of different interpretations of the Four of Swords, of course, depending on how you pull it, depending on how you draw it. But this to me is symbolic for recovering from all the retrogrades that we've been dealing with. Okay, and we need a moment to meditate between two worlds because we're still going to be in Pisces, guys. You know, there's still going to be a lot of Pisces activity, of course, still. And this full moon, I think, is shining a spotlight that we need to observe our fate that we have accumulated through these retrograde cycles. And we need to observe and rest a little bit, just for a little bit. Maybe it's just for the 24 hours this moon cycle is available. But this is what this is going to be all about. We need to take a moment to not just jump into crazy Aries energy that I've been freaking out about here. But this full moon is going to, again, force the world to maybe take a moment. This might be a collective event in some regards too, where everyone stands still for a minute. This can be something that is very profound and big, where something is revealed in the world where everyone is forced to really consider something massive. In our own life, where is Libra for you, of course? We're going to maybe have a moment where we need to, again, observe something in the Libra part of your life. But this is also going to be very much tied to, you know, again, the Aries story, because that's where the sun is, guys. So we're going to talk more about the full moon, of course, in another video. We're going to dive deeper into the Decans. We're going to dive deeper into these tarot cards. And, you know, and again, like the new moon at the end of the month, we're dealing with another powerful Decan here. You know, we're dealing with the Five of Pentacles energy. And again, this is where I think we see more of a moment where we need to very much birth more belief in lack mindset. So we might be going through something in the Taurus part of our life as the end of the month comes around, where we're kind of being dealt with, you know, some energy around like loss or scarcity or isolation, feeling abandoned. I mean, on the world stage, this is, I mean, look at the word abandoned seems to be very popular lately. Isolation, you know, when we look at America, you know, we're becoming more of an isolationist country. More of our allies are giving us shit over a lot of things that our administration is doing. Or I'm an American, so that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And a lot of people in America are enjoying that. Okay, they're enjoying that that's a thing. And then a lot of people are like, this is crazy. This is going to collapse a lot of very important, integral things on how the world is run. So this end of the month new moon is going to be, I think, a lot about, again, on the world stage, financial things, like I've said. But in our own life, we have to very much meditate on what this can actually mean. Symbolically, this can mean like, hey guys, we need to really get our act together. We need to birth in some new optimism here in all of this fast-paced, crazy astrology that's happening. Maybe some of us are going to have a hard time in the Taurus part of our life. You know, maybe some of us are going to, like, you know, not know how to handle exactly all of this shit hitting the fan. And we're going to have to, you know, learn how to work through struggle. And this new moon, it might be a very powerful opportunity to plant seeds on how to overcome adversity. And I think that's very much tied into the Magician card energy. We need to learn how to manipulate and manifest, you know, so we can very much, you know, create our own reality and really, you know, create the life that we dream. In the Aries part of our life, in the Taurus part of your life, this energy will be alive and well everywhere. And that Hierophant is going to be, again, this more like, do you really need to lean on certain people, things, ideas, or can you do things yourself? You know, do you really need that Hierophant authoritative energy to like clamp on you? Or can you find a magician way to break free for the struggles that you may be feeling, during that particular lunar cycle that will be coming? So there will be an emphasis on planting seeds and intentions on overcoming adversity, and also just learning how to deal with the innate struggles that life may bring upon us. So once again, my friends, I know I rambled on a lot today. I hope some of you kept up with me, but this is a really powerful, there's so much to talk about, guys. I mean, like the astrology, as an astrologer, it is extremely overwhelming to kind of talk about astrology right now because there is so much happening and so much to delineate. But I just always want to emphasize that there always is an evolutionary reason that we go through things in life, and the astrology reflects that. And we very much are being asked to understand more specifically the astrological nature of our lives. You are very much being asked to understand more deeply your birth chart and what these themes of life are. If you do not know what stuff is going on in your life in astrology or your birth chart, this is why it's important to invest in astrology readings. We are here for you for these reasons, to very much crack you open, to guide you. And, there's just a lot going on, guys. So again, once I get a little bit more specific throughout the month, we're going to get a little bit more psycho-spiritual so I can help guide you better in how this stuff can be manifesting more specifically in your life. Because, we're going to be, as these planets move direct, Mercury and Venus, like there's a lot that we need to understand deeply about the Pisces and Aries parts of our lives. Okay, Mercury is the mind, Venus is our how we move through this life, feel, interact, enjoy life. How do we take in pleasure? How do we create? And we're very much giving this brand new opportunity in the Pisces and Aries parts of your life. And of course, where Mars is transiting too. Like, what's Cancer for you guys, right? Mars is laying down some serious groundwork for Jupiter to ingress into Cancer in just a few months. But, the Cancer part of our life is also very important. I didn't talk about that today, but we have to look at where's Cancer in your life. Like, what's part of your life is that? Because we're very much being asked to move forward very aggressively and to finally take action on these stories playing out for us in that part of your life, in our parts of our lives. It's time to act. That's very much the flavor. So that being said, my friends, that's all I have for you for this forecast for April. I do hope you found this informative. And once again, please like, comment, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And I will see you in the next one.